It's that time, magic time, 6 o'clock. I call the Planning Commission meeting of February 19th, 2025 to order. Madam Associate Planner, can we have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Bedard?
Here.
Vice Chairman Lee?
Present.
Commissioner McPhail?
Present.
Commissioner Mead? Here. Chair Malakoff?
Present.
Thank you.
And now we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to our great country. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In confirmation of the agenda, Ms. Schultz, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda.
Okay. So the public is invited to address the Planning Commission on any matter not on the agenda. If you wish to speak on the agenda item, please wait to be recognized under that item. Except for the special circumstances, the Brown Act prohibits the Planning Commission or staff from responding or taking action on any comments made by the public unless it pertains to an item that appears on the agenda. All speakers should give their name and city of residence. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Have we received any online or physical slips?
We have not received any speaker slips. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak? There's
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
No comments from the public.
Okay. Our next item, item 1A, is approval of the minutes of February 5th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do we have any changes? If we don't, can I entertain a motion?
I have one tiny change, little administrative error, I think. In the roll call section of the minutes, it shows Commissioner Bedard as a voting member and not a commissioner. We're all listed as commissioners except him, so we might want to change. That's it.
Madam Associate Planner, can you have that change made? And with that change, do we have a mover and seconder?
I'll second. Oh, I moved. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Whatever.
I'm not seeing anything.
I can change that. Who made the motion?
Roy made
I
the
guess I
motion.
did,
All right,
Yeah.
I'll change it.
but I'm not seeing any.
You gotta close that. Oh, no.
I'm trying to find the voting.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
Let's just do a roll call.
We've got it.
All right, roll call vote. Member Bedard?
Aye.
Member Lee?
Aye.
Member Mead?
Aye.
Member McPhail?
Aye.
And Chairman Malakoff?
Aye.
Thank you. Let the record show that a motion was made by Member McPhail and seconded by Member Lee. Motion passes, all ayes.
Can we, as we move on to the next item, can we have IT come out and put the voting machine on to our 3 machines?
Do we have anything else to vote on?
We're not voting, right?
Yeah, there's nothing else to vote on, is there?
The 3. It'll show up here? Because it didn't show up before. Okay,
Because you have the architectural review.
oh,
We have the architectural review committee, or I do anyway.
I do too. That's why it didn't show up. So this was not operator error.
Yeah, because I was like, we don't have anything else to vote on.
Oh, yeah.
Should we take a 2-minute thing, or should I just go on?
Take a 2-minute
2
break.
minute, let's take a 2-minute break so we can fix our computers.
I'm fine.
So I adjourn for 2 minutes.
Please enjoy the hold music. Thank you. It's Mad World. It was amazing. There's like 50 people. It was so fun. We had quesadillas with fajita, like fajita quesadillas. I had somebody there making them. It was delicious. And tater tots with all kinds of dipping sauces. And we did a burn. So we did a little burn of releasing what you want, you don't want, and welcoming in what you do want. And we walked the labyrinth, and it was lovely. We had homemade lemonade from my tree. It was quite nice. Yeah, it was quite fun. So, yeah, it was my 58th. Yeah. Yeah, I had people from Vegas that came in, people from LA. I had people
Okay.
from other cities coming in, city council people.
Yeah.
It was
We
pretty
are all
awesome.
on the right agenda.
It was the bash. Haven't you been
call
to
the meeting
didn't you go
back
like
to
a
order.
long time ago? Or was it just the events that I used to do? Did you go to something I was putting, I mean, you used to go to the events? No? I thought you went to like my West Hollywood when I hosted at the Whole Foods in West Hollywood and I used to do those events. You didn't go to any of those? Oh, sorry.
We're ready to re-adjourn. Number 2, non-public hearing items. Item 2A, Planned Unit Development Amendment 25-001 and Tentative Track Map Revision 25-001, a request to change the common recreation amenities for a previously approved 27-acre residential planned unit development to add a swimming pool and remove pickleball courts. And do we have a report from staff, Ms. Camps?
Yes, good evening, Chair Malakoff and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Dawn Camps. I'm Associate Planner of the City, and today I'll be presenting the Planned Unit Development Amendment 25-0001 and Tentative Track Map Revision 25-001 for your review and approval. This project proposes to change the common recreation amenities in the residential development known as Mountain View Estates, to add a shared swimming pool and to remove pickleball courts. Please note that the amendment does not propose any changes to the approved residential lots, associated architecture, and landscaping that have been previously approved for this project. So the approved Mountain View Estates project proposes the development of an approximately 27-acre site with 110 single-family homes. The project site is located between Ramon Road and McCallum Way, east of Numa Drive and west of the Campanile development. Access to the development will be provided via a gated entry off of Ramon Road, as well as from Santoro Drive in the north. The tentative track map and planned unit development associated with this project were originally approved by the Planning Commission in September of 2020. In July of 2023, the Planning Commission approved an amendment, PUD 19001A, to change the residential architecture from a modern design to a Spanish style and to add an attached ADU onto each of the single-family dwellings. In January of 2025, the applicant, Hunter Simmons, representing Desert Housing Ventures, applied for a second PUD amendment as well as a tentative track map revision, and these applications are the subject of today's presentation. The Architectural Review Committee reviewed the architecture and landscaping proposed for the project on February 5th of 2025 and voted unanimously to recommend that the project move forward to the Planning Commission. So here is the site plan for the proposed PUD amendment, and please note that it's rotated so north is to the left here. The scope of the proposed PUD amendment is limited to a change in the proposed amenities for the 2 recreation areas that are highlighted here. So one of the recreation areas is located in the northern end of the community, near the gated entrance off of Santoro Drive, and the other is located in the southern end of the community near the main entrance from Ramon Road. The proposed PUD amendment would not result in any changes to the architecture and landscaping approved for the 110 single-family lots, and the PUD amendment would not change the project's conformance to the zoning standards for the R1 district or with the PUD development standards that were previously approved for this project. According to the city's municipal code, the Planning Commission may approve an amendment to a PUD without requiring a public hearing if the Planning Commission considers the amendment to be minor in nature. The proposed PUD amendments meet the conditions for a minor amendment as defined in the city's municipal code, and therefore can be approved by the Planning Commission without a public hearing. So this slide shows the existing and proposed programming for the open space area in the south of the community, so again, near the gated entry from Ramon Road. The open space area under the existing PUD, as shown on the left, included a turf recreation area and a dog park. And the PUD amendment is proposing to add a clubhouse, fitness center, swimming pool and spa, as well as a children's play area and shaded seating areas to this common open space area. And here is the existing and proposed programming for the open space area in the north of the community. So the existing PUD, shown on the left, proposed a bocce ball court, pickleball courts, and covered seating areas. And the PUD amendment proposes to shift the turf recreation area and dog park that were previously approved for the recreation area in the south of the community up to this open space area in the north. It would maintain the bocce ball court that was and covered seating areas that were previously approved for this open space area. And the applicant is proposing to remove the pickleball courts altogether, due in part to concern about noise. As a result of the changes to the recreation amenities, minor adjustments will also be made to the lot lines for the water retention lot and the private streets immediately adjacent to the open space area in the south. So the area being changed here is highlighted in red in the image on the left, and the image on the right, the green lines highlight what is being proposed to change. So essentially the lot line for the retention basin would be shifted to the south, additional parking spaces would be added, and the street alignment would also be shifted slightly. The proposed tentative track map revision would not result in any changes to the size or configuration of the 110 single-family lots, nor would there be any changes associated with the open space area in the north of the community. According to the city's subdivision ordinance, a minor change to a tentative track map does not require a noticed public hearing if it includes a change in lot lines, lot design, or street alignment, provided that the basic design concept is retained and that the number of approved lots does not change. So based on the definition in the city's subdivision ordinance, the proposed modifications can be considered minor in nature and therefore approved by the commission without a public hearing. So here are the elevations for the clubhouse building that is proposed for the recreation area in the south of the community. The proposed design uses a Spanish style of architecture with pitched red tile roofs, decorative metal ornamental details, and arched entryways. The building height is 19 feet, which is consistent with the 26-foot maximum in the R1 district. The clubhouse will be approximately 5,000 square feet and will include a community room, game room, office spaces, kitchen, restroom, and covered patio. And here are the elevations for the proposed fitness center. Again, this is also in the open space area in the south of the community. A Spanish style of architecture is used. The building height is 19 feet. The fitness center will be approximately 3,000 square feet and will include a fitness room, a yoga room, restrooms, mailroom, maintenance room, and a covered patio. The architecture proposed for the amenity buildings is consistent with the approved architecture for the development. So the modern Spanish architecture style being used is one of the architectural style that has been approved for the residential buildings under PUD 19001A. And that style is shown here on the left of the slide. And the proposed amenity buildings will be using one of the color and material palettes that have been approved for the modern Spanish style of architecture, again, with the previous PUD. And that palette is shown here on the right. Here is the proposed landscape plan. So the changes in recreation amenities will result in modifications to the landscaping that was approved for the two common area sites. However, the proposed landscaping is consistent with the plant schedule that was approved for the rest of the development and will feature desert-appropriate species with low to moderate water use, and the use of turf will be limited to the recreation areas. Additionally, as a condition of approval, the city is asking the applicant to ensure that 50% of the parking spaces for the amenity areas will be shaded by trees or trellis structures. And this concludes my presentation. Staff recommend that the Planning Commission find that no additional CEQA review is required for this project, as there is no substantial evidence that this project would require major revisions to the adopted mitigated negative declaration due to the involvement of new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects, and to approve Planned Unit Development Amendment 25001 and Tentative Track Map Revision 25001, subject to the attached conditions of approval and based on the findings contained in the staff report. I would be happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also here to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Camps. We appreciate your very thorough staff report. Now, questions from the commission. We'll start with with Vice Chair Lee.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Then we will go to Commissioner Bedard.
Thank you. Can you bring up the slide for the Ramon side?
Yep. Apologies, this one?
Right there, yeah. Okay. And this question, I would assume you're the developers are back there, right? So you may be able to answer them. I understand and highly appreciate the idea of eliminating the pickleball noise. And pickleball is all the rage. I mean, I think Palm Springs is building a $20 million something. There's many million dollar pickleball resource for their city. Rancho Mirage has turned in their parks a lot of the tennis courts into pickleball. It is a craze that seems to be here for good. And I just want to say thank you for all the trees. They're amazing. I think what you're doing is awesome. A question about, I'm sure it's already there, about the retention of the detention pond being the proper size. I'm sure that's already been considered. Is there anywhere in this design to even drop one pickleball court? I'm just curious about that, and the builder has raised his hand, so I'm not sure.
Why don't we finish with the commissioner questions?
Yes.
And then we'll open the public hearing,
Great.
if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my only, I love it. I think a 5,000 square foot hall is fantastic for that community. It does seem a little large for 120 places. I'm curious how much that space would be used, because I know I have friends in Rio del Sol that were interested in using their community house, and it was so restrictively expensive that the community house doesn't get used. So there's this wonderful building that is the resource for the community that the community doesn't use because it's cheaper to go other places. So a community house of that size, in practicality, I don't know if it's necessary, and especially I don't know your HOA rules or what those are going to be, or the costs and fees for those types of things. But the Rio del Sol development has something like this that doesn't get used by the community. And I know a pickleball court probably would. So that's my concern. And if you keep it on the Ramon side, I don't think noise is a problem.
Can you go back to the slide of the tentative map change? I have just a process question for Mr. Corella. If we didn't have the changes to the landscaping and this was just a simple revision to the map, would you have been able to change it per the map act because it was consistent with the overall project administratively?
Yes, because they're not creating a new lot.
Yeah, I was just curious. And the main reason we added this on is because we were already going to a meeting with the changes to the PUD. Interesting. Commissioner Mead, any questions?
No questions right now. Thank you.
Commissioner McPhail, any questions for staff?
Yeah, just one. Attachment 1, conditions of approval. is this set, this 38-page document, is it different from the conditions of approval in the previously approved development?
It is a consolidation of the existing conditions of approval. The only new one is that 50% shade requirement for the parking for the amenity areas that I mentioned. Otherwise, it is the conditions of approval from tentative track map 37755, which was actually refiled within the past year, as well as the conditions from the PUD amendment that preceded this one. So other than that 50% shade, it's all existing conditions.
I'll just sing my little song that if something is changed, if it could be highlighted in some way in the documents, that would help us focus on what is new. But
I'll do
great
that next time.
otherwise. Thank you.
Good point. At this point, unless there's other questions of staff, I will open the floor to public comments. Not a hearing.
No.
Public comments. Mr. Osterholm, did you want to speak?
Sure. My name is Jim Osterling. I'm one of the owners, chair and commissioners. Thank you for hearing this. First, I do want to thank Architecture, Planning Commission, et cetera, for working with us as we've made changes and evolved the project as previously discussed, and made it better along the way. The second comment I want to make is, as usual, Dom, your staff report was excellent, so I have nothing to add to that. The amenities that we're implementing here are contemplated in the conditions of approval, but the early versions of the plan, these areas were not programmed as intensively, as you can see. So we're really pleased and proud to add this amenity to this development. To address Commissioner Bedard, I'm personally a pickleball player. I love pickleball. I'm a member of a tennis club, and we converted one of our 7 tennis courts into 4 pickleball courts. And the point is it's really space efficient. It's really popular. I love pickleball. The original location at the North Gate is surrounded on all sides by housing, not only our future housing, but also the next door neighbor Campanile housing. And anecdotally at our club, the first location that we selected to put convert our one tennis court into a pickleball court was a bad decision. And it was close to neighbors, and they rightfully complained about the noise. And we had different tennis courts in different areas of our club, and we were able to move it to another location. So as much as I personally love pickleball, I'm hypersensitive to the fact that they haven't solved the sound problems associated with pickleball. And I was the leading advocate in the ownership team for eliminating a sport that I love, pickleball, for the peace and quiet of the neighbors. But you've brought up 2 very good suggestions, and we've always tried to be open-minded and flexible about this development, thus the evolution of the design and adding the club and the pool and the fitness center. We're really pleased to be offering that. And we would absolutely be open to the idea of looking at shrinking the footprint of the clubhouse facilities and seeing if we can squeeze a pickleball court in there at the south end, which you're right, then your neighbors are Ramon and so forth, and that might be a good location where that noise would not impact the residential areas. We're happy to look at that, but we also hope that you guys don't have deal fatigue and constantly seeing us change this project. And so if we could find a way to do that administratively versus yet another amendment, that would be a lot easier for us and for you. But I will bring that suggestion back to our ownership group, and we are certainly open to considering that.
Point of order for either our Development Services Director or attorney. A minor change like that, can it be done during plan check? And do we need to just notate in the
Chair
minute?
Malakoff, I was just going to suggest that we could just do it as a plan check.
Okay, and I think what we can do is, we don't have to change the motion, but we can notate in the minutes that if they were to make that change, that the plan, assuming the rest of the commission is supportive of it, which I think they are, that that would be an okay administrative change, then it would be in the minutes and you could clearly do it.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll make sure that that statement is in the minutes if everybody agrees. And that way you don't have to go through another amendment and you can just deal with Sandra on that.
Yeah, my overall suggestion is I really love what you're doing. And I think that this is a great example of how to incorporate mental health into physical space, because
Yeah.
you're planting more trees, you're providing more shade, there's seating areas, there's what looks like a really good landscape. And that creates a happier, healthier community. And not that you were thinking of that, but maybe you were, and that's just spot on.
Commissioner Bedard, the credit for that goes to our design team, but thank you for pointing that out, and also offering these recreational amenities, we all know
Yeah.
helps our
Yeah.
mental health as well.
Yeah, and if the clubhouse was slightly smaller, and if maybe the pool was 2 feet set back just a little bit, I don't think this, to make some space, I love the idea of what you have going. I'm inclined to approve this. I think that adding even just one small pickleball court, I think you're going to have a line of people reserving that space.
Pickleball is very popular.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will note is the nature of pickleball, if you've played or watched the play, it's very social, which is awesome.
Super.
And it works better if you have 2 or 3 or 4 courts just to get a lot of people and mixing in. But if we can squeeze in 1 or possibly 2, pickleball courts are not that big.
Exactly.
And that's a good suggestion to put it at that south end away from the residential area.
In looking at what you have going on this map, the properties that would be impacted by keeping it as further south as possible are in your development.
They're the ones a little bit at the south end and a little bit to the west.
Sort of that
Yes.
southwest corner, which,
Yeah.
looking at what you have, might be the most practical place. If you could put it somehow closer to the parking lot, Dom, are we able to go to the map, the slide that shows the
Go right
structure?
ahead,
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that number 4, I'm assuming that's a children's play area?
Yeah, that's a children's play area. There's the parking lot you see to the right, to
Right.
the east. That kind of needs to be there just so it can access. But yeah, you're referring to area number 4, and then the building in number 2 kind of shields it, and so there'd be a little bit of sound buffer there towards the residential area.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that building behind where the jacuzzi is could be, it looks like it could be slid over a couple feet to line up with the lot line of the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And
Well,
maybe you could slide something in between the play area 4 and that, what looks like a jacuzzi or pool equipment building or something like that. I'm not sure what that is, that little square.
That little square is a open area that's kind of programmed for barbecue and
Perfect.
fire pit area, and then a covered
That's
seating
actually
area.
perfect, having
Yeah.
that next to a pickleball court, even if it's only one. I know, again, that social, what you brought
Yeah.
up, that social element, to keep it near a social place of picnic tables and seating, I think that's
Yeah.
a nice fit.
Well, it's a good idea, and we'll give that challenge back to our design team, and
Great.
particularly if we can handle that change through plan check, that would be great versus more public hearings.
So that path that goes to the left on the slide of the covered picnic area, if that little path was adjusted to the right, and the building was slid over to the left, and maybe the play area was on more of a diagonal,
Yeah.
it could give you a little bit of space.
Yeah, in play areas, we can be flexible with the dimensions of a play area. You can, it doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle the same way a pickleball court needs to be. So, yeah, we'll be happy to take a look at that. That's a great suggestion.
And as that square cover, that building right there, is a picnic area, is it, again, I love what you're doing, and I'm being very demanding. I wonder if there could be, instead of a palm tree, maybe actually a shade tree next to the shade structure. Because we all know that shade structures tend to be tall, and when the sun shines, it often shines under the shade structure where everybody would be sitting or the tables would be. So the shade tends to go away from the structure. Am I
Yeah, the
communicating
west
clearly?
setting sun is going to shine into that.
The rising sun, the setting sun,
Yeah.
everything except for noon. So
Yeah.
to put a tree possibly on the west side instead of a palm tree?
We have a really talented landscape architecture firm working on this, and we'd be happy to pass along that suggestion
They've done
as
a great
well.
job.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Thank
Happy
you.
to, happy
If I
to.
may interject, Commissioner, would like to make sure that the retention basin sizing is correct, because we haven't double-checked that, so it may encroach in the area you're talking about. And then regarding pickleball, one of the challenges with pickleball is a lot of people play it right at sunrise, so if it could be restricted to after 8 o'clock as a suggestion, and then also terminate at a reasonable time so that you don't have the early birds or the late birds, or if it's not lit, that makes it a little more palatable.
And to push it a little east, I think you got a great thing going where the sound that would be going north would bounce back to Ramon Road because of that
Yeah.
building there, which would lower your sound issues, as well as the structures or trees that you have to the west of that area would also reduce the sound.
Yeah, and John, to your point, my recommendation would have been anyway to not install lights on those courts, it's a shame in a way, because in the evening hours, it's cooler, but even if this is away from the residential area, and it is for the most part, there'll still be some housing that will be impacted, so not late at night.
Well, in the depth of winter, sunrise,
Not early in
sunset
the
is
morning.
like,
Okay,
in the dark of winter, sunset is what, 4:30, 4:15, something like that? I mean, to have a cutoff of 6 when most people are getting home from work, if they are, and, dinner times and stuff like that, I don't know if you want to just do, sundown to sunset, or have a 4 o'clock cutoff in the middle of winter when it might be great to play from 4 to 6.
yeah, we'll give that consideration too, because like I said, pickleball's a great sport. Besides the fact that I play it and enjoy it, I know so many people that do it. It's a great amenity, it's space efficient, so it's a nice amenity to have, but it is noisy. I wish when they had invented the sport, they had given more thought to that.
Well, maybe that's your big, $1 million invention.
I've given it some thought. So, yeah, thank you for those really good constructive comments. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Mead?
Hello, thank you. A couple questions, just since I wasn't here when this first went through the process. Is this an age-restricted community? Is it like 55 and over or anything?
It's not.
It's
This
not,
is-
okay.
This, we envision this as, well, it's not age-restricted, so we envision all ages and demographics
I
living
figured because of
here.
the children's play area, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to, and I
Yeah.
noted that all the homes are going to have ADUs as well?
Correct.
Okay, and I
Yeah.
assume those ADUs would probably, they'll be rentals?
They are attached, and what we've seen is ADUs are used in a number of ways. Some homeowners use them as offices. Some homeowners do rent them out. Some use them as guest, it's a myriad of ways that they're used. So,
Some put their
all of
teenage
the
kid in
above.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the community room and the fitness center, is there going to be some sort of restricted access where only homeowners or residents, authorized
Yes.
residents, like a card key or something?
Yeah, this is a gated community, and all of these amenities are behind the gates, so to speak. So access is already restricted, and yes, it'll be restricted to residents and their guests.
But is there some sort of mechanism for restricting it?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer, if you look at the layout, the gates going into the community are up above to the north of that roundabout there, but all of this area that will be the clubhouse, the fitness center, et cetera, is going to be gated such that the general public can't drive in and park here and use these facilities. These are intended for the residents.
Yeah, I think I'm more concerned only just because it seems pretty clear to me that gated communities, people still get in all the time, right? You see online, if you go into any of the online groups that are for different HOAs, people get in, salespeople that aren't supposed to be there, just questionable people get stuff stolen from their cars all the time. So my concern is just because it's so close to Ramon, that it's not going to be hard for someone to jump whatever gate you have, get into one of those buildings at night, camp out there, potentially harm someone who lives in the community. So my concern is really more about security of the buildings themselves, making sure that there's some sort of, people need to have some sort of thing to prove that they can get in there. And that kind of leads me into my next question, which was what were the hours and how are you going to maintain the hours to ensure people aren't, you know?
Those are all good questions. So let me try to address them. The access to these buildings will be via a key card type access.
That's all what I was trying to
Yeah,
confirm.
and these areas will be fenced off so that the general public can't easily get in there. We do have one exception. Mr. Corella asked if he could have a parking space over here. I'm just kidding. At our last hearing.
Okay, great. Those were my main concerns. And then, yes, I think that was it. I would say I kind of feel the opposite from the whole conversation you had about the pickleball, which is I thought it was great you were getting rid of the pickleball. And to me, having seen the lines that line up for pickleball, to have one or two courts, to me, says there's going to be 25 people hanging around arguing to get on the courts. I've seen fights break out at Demuth among people. And so to me, it seems like unless you were going to have like 8, that it's almost not worth having them at all. And I think what you've got with the yoga studio, the fitness studio, the community room, it's actually, I feel like there's so many places you can play pickleball. You're doing something different, which I think is actually really nice.
Yeah.
And if people want to go play pickleball, there's plenty of places to do it, but you're giving them an alternative. I think to Peter's suggestion, a little bit more of a mental health, physical fitness options. So I love the revised design, and I love the kids area. I like that you moved the dog park to the top where it's less near the road, because that was my initial concern when I saw the initial design was, if someone's dog gets loose, they're running out onto Ramon. So I love that that's been relocated. I think the new design is just great. I really like what you're doing.
Thank you. Regarding the pickleball, my hope is...
I don't want to get back on to it.
My hope is over time,
Yeah.
2 things. Number one, that the inventors of the game, the people that administrate that sport will find a way to make the equipment more quiet and still the play, the way the ball bounces, be exactly the same. I don't know if that'll happen or not. And then my second hope is that over time, and we're seeing this, but it takes time, that there will be a lot more of these facilities, because they're really small. That's the beauty. It's literally 1/4 of a tennis court, size-wise, that are public parks in appropriate places, not near private residents, will build more and more of these and meet that demand, because it is more fun when you have a lot of courts and a lot of mix-in of a lot of people. And I think that will happen over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner McPhail.
I have no questions.
Okay, so I will close public comment.
Thank you.
And before we move forward, let's take care of this minute motion that I've drafted so that when the future planner is working on this, that there's no confusion. So if needed, to allow additional pickleball courts adjacent to the clubhouse, to allow extra canopy trees to replace palms, and that there be no changes to the volume of the retention basin to be approved by the Development Services Director or their designee.
And you,
I can't hear you, sorry.
I'd like a time in there restricting, just put, if there is pickleball, not before 8 o'clock.
I think that would need to be a condition of approval, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Chair Malakoff, could you clarify whether this is going into the minutes or is this a condition of approval?
This, as I saw the way the discussion went, it's if they could do it.
Yeah.
So I wanted a note in the minutes so that the future planner doing plan check could see in the minutes, this was discussed and allowed, and then all they have to do is show Sandra Ms. Melinda or Mr. Firestone, what they're doing, and then they can sign off on it so that you don't have to do an amendment.
Right.
I think that if you're going to restrict the time period and I could be wrong, but if you're going to restrict the time period for the pickleball courts, that would need to be a condition of approval. That's not just like, if you can do it.
Couldn't you do it administratively and allow staff, the planning or the community development director to incorporate the comments that are listed in the minutes?
I was just going to suggest something maybe a little bit different in that the applicant is designing the community amenities to benefit their residents, and I think that they themselves are also cognizant that whatever amenity they provide, they want to be respectful to their residents, and so I don't necessarily think that a specific condition is needed for the operating hours. I think that the HOA management is going to regulate that.
For the timing, for the
Correct,
time of the
yeah.
pickleball courts.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So then our minute motion would stand to make sure that the planner knows that they could replace canopy trees without getting extra approvals. They could squeeze it in an extra pickleball court, and that they can't change the volume of the retention basin.
Correct.
And to their discretion.
So, does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and Dom, after the meeting, if you want to get with me on the exact language, I'd be happy to give it to you. So other than that, is there more commissioners' comments on this? Or are we ready for a motion?
I think we're ready.
I think I actually have the motion screen. So would somebody like to make a motion?
Since I had the most questions about that, I would like to make a motion to accept as presented with the understanding, so correct me in the language, with the understanding that the developer can potentially shift some things around to their discretion, potentially add some pickleball courts without any further approvals. Did I say that properly?
For my benefit, I apologize. Could you repeat your motion?
No. I don't have a pen. Will somebody write this down?
Would it be better if he just said, per the minute motion written in the minutes?
Oh, that's good.
Yes, you could say that you would move to approve staff's recommendation.
Let me follow that
subject to
verbatim.
the-
I move to approve staff's recommendation
Subject to
with the understanding
Minute order.
that we have a minute order encouraging the developer to add some shade trees as compared to palm trees, and potentially, with their discretion, fit in a pickleball court or two without further approval.
And not impacting the size of the,
And not impacting the size of the retention pond, or the detention, I think it's called. Yes. I'm learning all this formal stuff. May take some time. That is my motion.
all right.
Member Bedard, if you would please vote.
Where is my voting? Bring that up. Aye.
All right. All right, let the record show that a motion was made by Member Bedard, seconded by Chair Malakoff. Motion passes, all ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank
On your third approval.
And please do mention to your design staff about the mental health and how I'm sure
Yeah.
they're aware of it, but building that community support, places to sit, contemplate, the yoga, all of that stuff
Yeah.
is just really a
And-
great example.
I wanted to thank everyone for their input because we don't have all the good ideas, and the more good ideas we get from everywhere, the better the development becomes. So thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Take care.
So, next section is commissioners' comments. And this time we'll start with Commissioner Mead.
I do not have any comments. Thank you.
And next will be Commissioner McPhail.
I have one comment. I will be absent on March the 5th. I'll be back home in Scotland visiting family and a whiskey distillery or two.
If you provide the address and a speakerphone, you can still attend. I printed out the work plan, and I think this is a very good addition to keep track of, what we're asking for. So kudos on that.
We finished comments? Commissioner comments?
I'm finished with mine. I was going to go to you.
Oh, okay.
I reversed the order from before.
Well, I'm confused again. I had one comment. I wanted to congratulate Commissioner McPhail on one more orbit of the sun, which he completed today. So,
Happy birthday. Thank you.
that's it.
I have no further comments.
Do we have any staff comments?
You have a meeting on March 5th, and you've noted that you have a work plan in the packet. This is what we are using to track requests that have come from the planning commission. So we are looking to bring back some of these items as early as March. Hold us accountable to that. We're going to try to keep this updated and bring these back over time. So you will see an update or presentation from our building official on the building permit plan check process. And I think we have some other commitments in the work plan as well. So temporary structures, we got it. We're going to give you an update on that.
And anybody can come to the February 26th presentation at the City Council, but they need to CC Cynthia. Am I right?
This is for,
Yes,
The-
please. The modernizing the zoning code, yes.
Yeah, but you need to be it's not CC'd, you need to be RSVP'd if we're going to attend, which I know I did.
I believe we have 4 commissioners in attendance who've confirmed their attendance. If you are a fifth member or you would like to check, please give us a call tomorrow or send us
I
an
have
email.
no idea what you're talking about.
This is the invitation for the modernizing the zoning code, or I believe it's modernizing the zoning code is the name of it. It was sent out in an email, an invite for planning commissioners to attend on the 26th. There's a city council session that will start that you all are invited to, and then it follows up with a 4:30 session downstairs in our study session
Okay.
room.
Yes.
Does that bring?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
It's at 3 o'clock, correct?
it starts at 3, and then we'll move downstairs and we'll have dinner, and then we'll wrap up with a longer session for planning commission. So it'll be more interactive for planning commission, but we wanted to involve city council on this as well, as they are really our policy folks.
I believe my RSVP has been submitted. Yeah.
and
I
we
guess-
appreciate the commission's attendance and participation. This really is our first big event for the zoning code update. Regrettably, I'll be there for the first part, but I will miss the second part. I have a city council staff report and presentation, so I'll be here.
I'm looking forward to it. Writing zoning code is like eating ice cream for me. So thoroughly enjoy that kind of thing.
Did you also want to tell us about our business cards?
I was hoping you would ask. So yes, in front of all of your places this evening, as I mentioned to you, there are some business cards there. Please share these with your colleagues, associates, neighbors. So the QR code will take you to our page, which is Shaping Cathedral City. Either way will work. It takes you to that page, or it will take visitors to that page where they'll get information on the zoning code update. The content, my goal is to keep that content refreshed on a regular basis. At the bottom of that page, visitors are able to sign up for emails so that they can get invited to public meetings that will be occurring. And I will also make mention that our first public meeting will be March 13th, it's Thursday. It'll be in the Senior Center. I think we're going to have it, don't hold me to it, we're going to have that around 4:30 in the afternoon, and that will, like I said, will be at the Senior Center. And then we'll have follow-up meetings on the weekend. There will be 3 walking tours, Saturday and Sunday. There'll be 2 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday, and those exact routes are still being determined, but we'll have meeting places, and then we will walk around with the consultant team, but primarily one of our consultant team members who's an expert in sort of design standards, and he has a great expertise in understanding market, construction, and trying to redevelop unused or places that could be better used with better design standards. So we will have those times and locations for those will also be published as soon as we got those dates finalized, or those times finalized.
That's March the 15th and 16th, so Saturday and Sunday. I'll
That's
be
right.
back on the 16th, so I'll not be able to make that.
Yeah.
Don't be shy about handing out those cards. There's plenty more where those came from, and it's a challenge.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, any comments from our esteemed city barrister?
No comments from me. Thank you, Chair.
I've been watching Law and Order UK. So. Well, with that, it's 6:54, and I will adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your time.